So is it worth the hype? This is an Olympus Mewtwo 35mm point-and-shoot film camera, and quite possibly one of the most controversial point-and-shoot film cameras available. Opinions on this bad boy seem to range everywhere from this is the best thing that you can possibly buy to simply put it in the actual bin. I've just blasted a roll of film through this camera myself, and today I'm going to try and decide which opinion I agree with more. So yeah, let's take some photos. So I was hitting the road on a little work trip, and I thought that I would take this camera with me as a bit of a daily carry sort of thing. So I slapped a roll of XP2 in here to get us going. First impression to the camera, the second I took it out of the box and held it in my hands myself, was that yeah, nah, I get it. I understand why people like this. It feels super nice in the hand. It's so small, like it's super small, but the thumb grip feels super nice. So like when you hold it, it feels locked in. It feels good in the hand. And I'll expand on this a little bit more later on in the video when we get into my thoughts. So I got to my hotel real late, got checked in, which just added to the vibe really, because I was staying in this old gnarly manor house. I think we do need to take a moment to appreciate this majestic good boy on the way to my room. What an actual vibe. It's one thing to swipe a few bickies from the tea and coffee stand, but I don't think I can get away with stealing this off the wall, sadly. Or can I? This lad over here looks a little more threatening, doesn't he? He's giving big I love my blue passport energy, if you know what I'm saying. The hotel room was very chill. It was a good time. Really sick mirror in the bathroom. I was like, cool, let's take some photos of this. The camera obviously thought otherwise. But anyway, I had a big old day of filming coming up the next day, so I figured that the move was to get to bed as soon as I could. I've been driving for hours, so I was like, yeah, I just want to get to bed. Big old filming day. And smash it. After the shoot, it was time to dump all the footage and start the backups, etc. XD. That isn't staying in. There's no way. My gag reflex is setting off just thinking about it. After a lovely shoot day, it was time to dump the files and start the backups, etc. You know what I mean? ETC. I proceeded to then prepare a highly nutritious meal with everything in it that a growing lad needs, and figured that this would be the perfect time to have a wander around the hotel and snap off some photos. So I started out just having a bit of a wander around my immediate space in the hotel, and then the grounds, all very old vibey shit, very cool. And this is the photo where I was like, I understand it. I get what people are talking about when they say that this point and shoot film camera has a lens in it that just totally punches above its weight. Like that depth of field, like the blurry daffodils at the front, the building in the background, like tack sharp where I was staying. This is a super nice point and shoot photo. It's got to be like one of the nicest, in terms of depth of field, one of the nicest point and shoot photos that I've managed to produce in a very long time. Maybe I'm just a photographer. But no, for real, if you showed me this photo without any context, I'd have no problem believing that it was shot on like a 35mm film SLR rather than a point and shoot, until I looked at the corners anyway. But some more nice stuff from just around the grounds and stuff. Some not so nice stuff. Some of these are just really bad compositions and throwaway photos, so I can't really blame the camera too much. But I don't know what happened to the light meter here, but this one, just, yeah, this is a non-photo. But I mean, look at it. It would have been shit anyway, so we haven't really lost anything there, have we? Now, you might have noticed that there's some sort of light leaky general weirdness going on in these photos. Now, my understanding is that this is a pretty common issue with these cameras and is probably the best argument for not spending big money on one of these. Like, I bought this it was listed as excellent plus condition. Excellent plus, yeah. Sick, mate. Nice one, Sound. Thank you. Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much indeed. Who the has the audacity to message me in the middle of a YouTube video Outrageous, mate. Off, man. It wasn't my mum. It wasn't my mum. That would be rude. That would be really rude. It was a group chat, okay? It was a group chat. But the thing with these sort of light leaky, sort of weird looking artifacting things going on, I don't really care. In terms of when I'm using a point and shoot, I think this sort of stuff adds character. Like the more analog character that you can get into like a candid point and shoot photo, the better, in my opinion. If I wanted the photo to look perfect, or I wanted it to be safe, then I wouldn't be shooting with a point and shoot anyway. I'd be shooting on something more like this lovely Bronica SQA medium format film camera, or I'd be shooting on something like my Minolta Dynax 7 35mm film SLR, which, yeah, I just have a lot more confidence and faith in these because these sorts of things were built for professional use, if you know what I mean. So I don't mean professional in that wanky sort of I've spent loads of money on it so I'm dead good kind of way. I mean professional in that, like, quality wise. So in terms of, I think, what's considered the Achilles heel of this camera, which is the light leaks and they all deteriorate, blah blah blah, as long as there's a photo there, I don't really care. Like, the more weird and like light leaky and whatever it looks, the better, in my opinion, for this sort of thing. Anyway, I headed back to the hotel room, did some work whilst I watched some Ghostbusters cartoons at the same time, because I'm a fully functioning adult. I'm an adult. I can do whatever I want, do you know what I mean? Later that evening, I wanted to blow off a little steam so that I could sort of quieten down my fizzy brain and actually switch off. So I went down to the reception desk in the hotel and I asked the manager very, very politely if they would let me into the gym despite it being super late at night. And they did. What a bunch of legends. Now, I did think that this would be the perfect time to try out the self-timer on the Olympus Mewtwo. I could set the camera up on a ledge somewhere, take some photos of me exercising and all that sort of stuff. But then I also realised that I don't hate myself quite that much to do that. So anyway, the next day I bagged myself a very hearty, nutritious breakfast of pastries. As you can probably see, my body is a temple. And then I headed out for the second day of filming. Now, one of the reasons that I bought the Olympus Mewtwo in the first place is because, according to the manual, it's very good for taking photos at a close range and still pulling autofocus. Like with most point and shoot film cameras, I found that you need to be like a meter away before you got any real chance of getting that photo in focus. Whereas the Olympus Mew, according to the manual, I think it's 35 centimeters away, which I was like, this is awesome, beautiful, fantastic. This is the one thing that I really, really want in a point and shoot, is to be able to just use it close up. Yeah, didn't really work out too well for me. I'm not sure if I've just been sold like a dud camera and this shop had just listed it as excellent plus, having just looked at it and was like, doesn't look like it's been run over by a car. So yeah, slap it on the website, boys. I could have been sold a dud camera. The focusing could be on its way out. It's very, very likely that that could be the case here. But I did some Googling and it seems that quite a lot of people do have issues with focusing on these cameras, but then also I think it could just be old parts breaking down, because these are old cameras. Like, this is the thing you have to remember, that this is old technology, and then that combined with whatever was going on with the light leaks in the lens and that sort of bleed of light, it kind of makes me think that this might not be an actual issue with all of the cameras. It could just be that I've got a particularly bad one. If you have an Olympus Mewtwo, please let me know if this is normal. There's no such thing as a perfect camera, is there? So these are the kind of things that just happen when you use old tech. So let me know if this is normal or my camera is just longed for the wheelie bin out to the pavement. Anyway, to finish out the roll, here is a photo of Le Pucci the day after I got back, enjoying breakfast together outside. I really like this one, and Zilla always gets the yogurt pots. Them's the rules. And then the film started to rewind. And rewind. And rewind. It took a long time, long enough in fact, for me to go, this is taking a long time. then pull out my phone, then tilt the Olympus Muse 2 so the glare wasn't on too bad on the screen so you could see what was happening, then to press record. And by this point, it still had 24 photos left to go. Now, if you're familiar with my channel at all, and you might know that one of my absolute biggest gag reflex inducing things that I hate, utterly hate, is when someone takes usually a camera, uses it for 10 minutes and then slaps a YouTube video up saying this is a comprehensive review about this camera. And I want to make it really clear and transparent that I have only shot one roll of film through this camera, and I am in absolutely no position to tell you whether you should buy one or not. So what I'm going to do here at the end of the video instead is I'm going to just talk through the general experience that I had shooting with this camera and my general first impressions of that experience, and then I'm going to decide whether I would buy it again or not based on those first impressions. So first things first, let's talk about the overall shooting experience. How is this camera to use? And straight up, it's really good. I really enjoy it. I enjoy how easy it is to use. You can turn the flash on or off. It's also got like a cool night mode flash, which I'm really excited to try out. It's got a self timer. It's quick to respond when you turn it on. Generally speaking, it seems to pull focus really fast as well. And it also has a spot meter that you can activate by pressing the two buttons in at the same time at the back. And this is one of the features that made me pull the trigger on this camera, because that is really cool. I mentioned earlier on how good it feels to hold, and this sort of thumb grip at the back is so deceptively good. Like once you got hold of this, like you've got hold of it, and that is, for me, that's a really big deal with a point and shoot camera, because you're typically pulling these out quickly to take photos. It's always good to just have as much of a hold on the camera as you can get, and given this is so small, that's really impressed me. Like, it sounds like such a boring, mundane thing, but it's one of the things that has really impressed me about this camera. The film did take a long time to rewind, and I did make a lot of jokes about that, but also you shouldn't really be using this in a scenario where you need to be fast, if you know what I mean. Like, they were never made for that. If I'm using this camera for work, it will be alongside other cameras, so if a roll is rewinding or it needs changing or whatever, I'll always have another camera to hand ready to go anyway. Now let's talk about how the camera looks. I don't really like it. I never have, to be honest. It's not really a design that's particularly stood out to me. It gives me, do you remember when people used to walk around with like chihuahuas in handbags? This gives me the same sort of energy visually. Like, I could see this in a bag with a chihuahua. No beef with chihuahuas, by the way. Love chihuahuas. Always wanted a chihuahua. They're like 50% spite, 25% rage, and 25% just shaky trembliness. Love them, mate, love them. But I don't overly love how this looks. Seeing it in person, it has grown on me. In terms of the overall aesthetic of it, I do massively prefer the older point and shoot cameras, like the Canon Sure Shots and stuff from back in the day. I think they are just peak big clunky point and shoots. Beautiful stuff. But given that people are paying £400 for these in the UK pretty regularly, I imagine I'm probably in the minority there, and everyone else probably loves how these things look. Alright, so this is the good stuff right here. The lens is so good. Like, when it's on, it is outrageously good. The fact that it is f2.8 is awesome. That bokeh roll off and that depth of field is some of the best I've seen out of a point and shoot in a very long time. And I understand it. I totally understand the hype with this camera in terms of the lens when it's on. It is totally beautiful. Now, given that I've only put one roll of film through this camera, like I said, the lens is the thing that excites me the most, because these are a lot of sort of throwaway photos that I've just kind of taken, shot from the hip, just walking around, whatever. If you put a good scene in front of this camera, it is going to look sick. I'm so confident that that would be the case. So that's what, moving forward, that's what excites me about this camera, is knowing how good this lens is and the possibilities that that opens up for like portrait stuff and all that you don't usually get with point and shoot film cameras. So is it worth the hype? That is a very difficult question to answer, especially because I've only put one roll of film through this, and there are moments in that roll where this thing is nothing short of stellar. Like the bokeh drop off, the image sharpness. There are moments where this is everything people say it is and more. But from my experience, the missed focus, and let's address the elephant in the room, massively inflated prices on these things. I've seen them go for £400 in the UK recently, and that is just insane money for one of these. I paid £198 for this camera because £198 is a lot less than these usually sell for in the UK, which could explain why it was listed as excellent plus, and there could be problems with it. £198 was probably too good to be true. Now, the big question, I guess, is would I pay £198 for this again right now? Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I would. Would I pay any more than that? Probably not. Having used it myself, I really understand the love that this camera gets, but I also understand the hate as well. It's an awesome little camera, but for the money you would pay for this camera, there's probably a better suiting camera for each photographer out there that's thinking of buying one of these, and that's where the is it overhyped question gets kind of interesting for me anyway, because for the right photographer, this isn't overhyped. Like, this could be the exact camera that you're looking for, but then for another photographer, it could be a total waste of money. Me personally, I think I fall somewhere in the middle of all of that, edging more towards liking it, obviously. Like, these photos have really sold me on the lens, but it's just all the other stuff that goes with it, like the inflated prices, the fact that there's obviously something wrong with it, the fact that it's common issues with these light leaks and all that sort of stuff. It just makes it a little difficult to recommend. With that being said, I'm not going to recommend it to anyone. I'm not going to not recommend it to anyone either, because I've only put one roll through it, and I'm not really in any position to give like to give anything other than just my initial opinion on using it. So I'm going to throw a bunch more rolls through this, and I'm sure I'm going to have a great time doing so. And yeah, if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stick around. And just to round out this video with one last question, is this my favourite point and shoot of all time? It is not. It is still this bad boy right here. I absolutely love this thing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like it, consider subscribing to the channel, and come and say hello in the comments. I've got a lot more film photography stuff coming up this year, bunch of trips planned. I just got my passport back because I'm going out to America later on in the year, and you have to have a certain amount of time on your passport, so I had to renew my passport. That's come back. So I'm all good for the trip later on in the year, but that also means that I can now look at booking the film photography trip that I wanted to book abroad. Still toying with ideas. I think I know where I'm going to go, and it's going to involve a lot of high-speed film. Very, very excited for that. So yeah, stick around. A lot of cool film stuff coming up. I hope you are well and being good to yourself. Treat yourself to that share bag of Doritos. Quit the job that you hate. Have a bath, do whatever makes you feel good, and hopefully I will catch you in the next one. Fit check, baby. We got this gnarly vintage mummy ride tee from Orlando. It's an indoor roller coaster based on the 90s Mummy movie, which has, without doubt, the sexiest movie cast of all time. Like, they were not messing around when they cast that movie, were they? Oh boy. But yeah, one of my favourite attractions on planet Earth. But what makes this tee really sick is the back. So dope, so dope. Got that paired up with these lovely Will Byers shorts. Feeling these. Who wears short shorts? This guy. With the socks pulled up all the way, of course. No other way to do it. There's no other way to do it. Anyway, peace.